Was there a stealth nerf? Am I being crazy? Has anybody else noticed something like this? Am I being gaslit by GGG? What is going on with Chaos Orb drops in Path of Exile Crucible League? This is Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I thought I was going crazy. I logged in yesterday and switched from my Searing Exarch altar strategy to my Eater of Worlds altar strategy for the first time in a long time, and I decided to do a couple of other mechanics. I did Harvest and Essence, Abyss, a little bit of Abyss, things that don't necessarily have chests, and a lot of currency drops. Now granted, you might not notice what I've noticed if you've been playing things like Heist, or Ritual, or Delve, or any other number of things, Blight, Legion, anything with chests. You might not have noticed this. However, if you've played or tried to play any combination of setups where you're not running any chests that drop currency, if you're not doing Expedition and farming 2-gen for instance, you might notice that the amount of chaos drops are very, very low. And the only reason I was able to even notice this is because I happened to switch to a bunch of mechanics that generally don't drop any extra chaos orbs. The Eater altars don't have chaos orb drops, they do have divination cards. But so yesterday I had basically run myself out of chaos, and I noticed after probably about 5 hours of farming, I had about 7 chaos. So I decided to wake up this morning and to document. So I decided I was going to run 1.5 full Eater of Worlds progress meters, totaling 42 maps. And I was going to document how many raw currency orbs I got. And the number was a bit shocking. So I'm going to go into that. Now, before I do that, I just want to explain a little bit of context and what kind of clued me into this even beforehand, because this isn't necessarily just Chaos Orbs. There are other pieces of currency that have been a bit difficult for me to find. For instance, by this time last league, not counting the league mechanic, I was able to find 14 raw divines. This league I found 5, including 2 that dropped at once because of an altar doubling currency drops. I had like a 25% chance, and it was very, very lucky to get that. And then I took a look at another thing I've been struggling with, Divine Vessels. Divine Vessels, you can't really get those from a lot of different mechanics. They kind of just drop. They don't tend to come up in, various other league mechanics, so you really notice this. So I just finished maxing out my Divine Vessels on one major and one minor pantheon on my main Frostblades character, and on my current character, my Lightning Tendrils Raider, I have gotten exactly one of the minor parts of the major god done, and then the capture of Soul of Tukuhama. So I have literally just used 2, and I looked, and I have 2 Divine Vessels remaining. So that means over the course of now 3 characters, I have found a grand total of 8 Divine Vessels this whole league. And across these 2 characters, I have at least 1 million monster kills, probably like 1.1 to 1.3 monster kills. So I've got a fair amount of monsters killed. I've done a decent amount of playing, and I'm just not finding it. So granted, I haven't played as much or as quickly as last league, so maybe that kind of takes into the account the Divine Orbs. But this is even more noticeable when you know that the league mechanic doesn't really drop any loot, compared to last league where you were getting, Chaos Orbs, Exalted Orbs, and Divine Orbs hand over foot from the league mechanic. So comparatively, it makes this feel like extreme poverty. When I was doing Searing Exarch, I was getting plenty of chaos, so I noticed it. If you're doing Expedition, you might be getting plenty of chaos, or Heist, or whatever else it might be. But I'm going to go over the results of my little experiment. So I'm going to pull up my stash here, and as you can see, I now have 14 Chaos Orbs. I started the morning with 7. I did 42 maps. In those 42 maps, I got 7 raw chaos for an average of 1 chaos every 6 maps. I did tier 16 Elk and Go Toxic Sewers primarily, but also I did some Underground Sea, I did some City Square, and I did some Jungle Valley, but mostly Toxic Sewers and secondarily Underground Sea. So that was my whole thing. Just elk and go, usually somewhere around like 70 to 80 quantity, somewhere in between 20 and 30 pack size was generally what I was getting. And in all of that time, and I was taking quantity alters pretty often because I'm elemental ailment immune, and a lot of the quantity alters are just, take an elemental ailment on hit, or have elemental ailment ground be dropped when you're hit or when you kill a monster. So I was, some of the maps I had like 200 quantity by the end of the map. Still, despite that, 7 chaos orbs over the course of an entire morning of farming eater altars. Here's my current setup. So I'm doing Abyss right now, and then I'm also doing Essences, and I'm doing Eater altars. Earlier I was not spec'd into Eater altars, and I was also doing Harvest. So I had like Call of the Grove and Heart of the Grove, that kind of thing. Maybe a couple of other nodes here or there. So that's pretty much my setup. And granted, I'm not like, taking the entire top hat, and I'm not taking all the quantity and rarity, but still, the expectation should be more than 7 chaos over the course of 42 maps raw. I don't have them filtered out, obviously, because I picked them up. I did get 2 chaos in one map as well. So I actually saw chaos orbs less frequently, taking that into account as well. This is, a major problem, I think. Well, could be a major problem. You can look at it a couple of ways. One thing, there is a lot of different ways to make chaos, but the issue is, and I noticed this compared to last league. I took a look at my league start video from last league to make sure I wasn't crazy. Last league, I had like almost 20 raw chaos by time I was just kind of getting into white maps, and I had even gotten 5 chaos by time Act 2. I know this because I, within the first hour of the league, bought a Heat Shiver and a Tessalio's Sign, which I made note of in my video from last league, my very first video. So I was able to find that. This league, when I got into maps, I had 5 chaos. Now granted, I think I spent 4 of them on craft, on a bench craft, so I might have gotten 9 chaos. But even still, I believe just leveling the campaign this league, I got the fewest I've ever gotten in raw chaos, and I thought that might be up into RNG, but the more I play, the more I'm starting to see a pattern, and it really became explicitly clear during this. So I have to ask, sure I'm not going crazy to see that. Some people are just constantly running the Exarch altars. The only reason I'm not on this character is because I don't have a way to deal with burning ground just yet, other than actually just taking Soul of Aberath. But Soul of Tukohama is so good on this build, it's hard for me to give it up. So, and I don't benefit from the less ignite duration either, so I'm just doing the Eater. I've gotten plenty of stuff where I can sell it. Like, you drop like your Chaotic Disposition, 3 Faces in the Dark. The one that gives 10 Chaos Orbs as well drops pretty often. You drop those from Eaters. And I got plenty of stuff that I can sell for Chaos. So it isn't going to be an issue getting Chaos. But I swear, the rates of actual drops of raw chaos and possibly other currency, like I said, divines and divine vessels, are dropped to very, very low levels compared to previous leagues. Let me know what you think. This has been Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I will see you next time. Bye.